A new all-star format is apparently coming to the NBA. How that benefits Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Plus, Franz Wagner delivers in Eurobasket, but the real challenge remains. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is September 4th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the path to the All-Star game is already open. The league is preparing to, or is thinking of a new format, how that helps Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner make the game for the first time. Plus, Franz Wagner delivers a big statement for Team Germany as they enter the knockout round. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Be one of our Orlando Magic dailies and subscribe and listen to Locked On Magic every day so you're updated on everything going on with the Orlando Magic. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is closer than you think, and right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Download at FanDuel.com to get started. All-Star game. I'll do my All-Star game rant in a minute. We are getting a new format for the All-Star game. We kind of knew we were getting a new format. Last year's format where everyone was split into those the three teams, and the G League team or the rookie team got in there, and it was not good. It was not good last year. And I'm someone I'll say this just flat out. I don't care about the All-Star game. I enjoy it. I understand what it is. I don't care. It was not good. You can go back to February and listen to my episode talking about the All-Star game. It was not good. I don't know how many more times I need to say that. This year, the NBA appears to be set to add a new format. They're going to bring back the kind of 4-team format, or the 3-team format at least, and play 12-minute games, 12-minute quarters of a USA versus the world. According to Shams Charania of ESPN, possibly doing some work to distract from things going on with the LA Clippers. Listen to our friends at Locked On Clippers and Locked On NBA for more on that. The NBA is set to change the format once again. They will form 3 8-player teams and have them play in a round-robin format to get to eventual champion in a game in the fourth quarter of the game. And it's convoluted. It's messy. The important thing is, how do you qualify for the All-Star game? The report that's out there, again, from Shams Charania of ESPN, is that the league will have 2 8-player Team USA teams and then an 8-player Team World team. So whatever the format is, and again, this is the problem with doing the All-Star game this way, is that it does mess a little bit with history and does mess a little bit with the honorific of being an All-Star. And look, we're the Orlando Magic. We've had precious few All-Stars, a small history. The team is finally going to be good again. We're expecting that the Magic will have at least 1, if not 2 All-Stars. We think both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are All-Star worthy players. There's talk that maybe Desmond Bane could sneak into the All-Star conversation. The question is, does this format benefit the Magic or not? And look, if the Magic are as good as we all think they're going to be, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what format this game is played in. If the Magic are as good as we think they're going to be, Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner will be making the trip to Los Angeles, to the Intuit Dome for All-Star Weekend. That is just the reality. That is just the deal. That's just the thing that's going to happen. The question is, does this benefit them? Undoubtedly, this benefits Franz Wagner. It benefits Franz Wagner more than just about any player. In fact, the player that this format's going to benefit the most are international guards. Because, like, I was looking at the list. I grabbed the list of last year's All-Stars and looked at the list of players who would be on the All-Star team or on the All-Star team last year. And the list of international players dries up pretty quickly. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's from Canada, Nikola Jokic, Alperen Şengün was an All-Star last year, Victor Wembanyama. Those are Karl Anthony Towns, plays for the Dominican Republic. Those are your international All-Stars. Luka Doncic did not make the All-Star team last year, but let's throw Luka Doncic in. The one thing you're probably noticing is there aren't a lot of guards. There aren't a lot of tweener players even. And so when you're looking to build an All-Star team, an 8-man All-Star team, it absolutely feels 100% certain that Franz Wagner is going to make that team. Judging by how he's playing in Eurobasket, and we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that coming up here in a minute. Franz Wagner is one of the best international players in the league. Certainly one of the 10 best. Easily one of the 8 best. Potentially one of the 5 or 6 best. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's from Canada, so you add him to the mix. But Franz Wagner is one of the 3 or 4 best players in Eurobasket right now. Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Alperen Şengün, Franz Wagner. Those are 5 of your 8 players that are probably going to be on that international All-Star team, on Team World for the All-Star game. It would be hard to take Franz out of that group. And so undoubtedly, this format change benefits Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner, who might have been on the fence, might not have been a certain All-Star. A certain All-Star at, in a normal format, in a normal East versus West format. In a normal East versus West format, he'd have to fight with Evan Mobley. He'd have to fight with Darius Garland, with Trae Young, with Tyler Hero, with Bam Adebayo. The Magic's record would surely help, but would not make for a guarantee. I will sit here and say, if the NBA is doing this Team World versus Team USA format, Franz Wagner is going to Los Angeles. Book the ticket now in February. Again, barring injury, but book the ticket now. Franz Wagner is going to Los Angeles and playing in his first All-Star game. Again, like, All-Star games don't matter. I'll get to why in a minute in the second segment, but this is a win for Franz Wagner. This is a win for Magic fans who want the attention, who want their best players to get this spotlight. Now, they probably, again, would have gotten it anyway, considering the Magic's expected record. But this is all a good sign that, yes, Franz Wagner is going to get to his first All-Star game this year. I would, we'll do the FanDuel ad read here in a minute, literally in a minute. I'd go ahead and put money on that now. The question then is whether this benefits Paolo Banchero. Now, we don't know all the ins and outs of this competition. We don't know all the ins and outs of how the NBA is going to set this up and who's going to go where and how they're going to make these teams. But Paolo Banchero still has an easy path, or has a path to the All-Star game. We'll talk about that path coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sundays, or in this case, to your Thursdays, with the start of the NFL season on Thursday. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's talk Paolo Banchero's road to the All-Star game. Now, obviously, Paolo is more than likely than not, we don't know, but more likely than not going to be the top the top player, the top scorer on this Magic team. This Magic team is, in all likelihood, going to be the 3rd or the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Everybody around the league who watches games, who coaches games, and the coaches pick the reserves, they know how good Paolo Banchero is. On top of this, voters, despite the internet chatter, they know how good Paolo is. Last year, Paolo Banchero finished 5th in front court all-star voting. 5th. He only played 5 games before all-star voting closed. That tells you how kind of quietly popular he is around the league. And Paolo's been to China a few times and has a big fan base in China, which helps with voting. Paolo is quietly very, very popular. And then you look at the next piece of this puzzle. Jason Tatum is out. He's not going to be an all-star this year. He's not playing this year. And so that opens up a spot on the all-star team for Paolo Banchero. Now, you look at the list of all-stars from last year. Evan Mobley is almost certain to be an all-star again. Pascal Siakam might be, might not be. There's a lot of what-ifs. Damian Lillard's no longer in the East, so he's out of the all-star running. Jaylen Brown will probably get a little bit of boost. Certainly Cade Cunningham should be an all-star again. Darius Garland may be an all-star again. Trae Young. There's not a lot of forwards in the Eastern Conference now. A lot of front court players. Now, who knows if Joel Embiid will get attention and how much Joel Embiid will play. But Paolo Banchero not only has a real chance to be on the all-star team, and he should be. He is a perennial all-star. He would have been an all-star last year if he didn't get hurt. Just got hurt. Just didn't play enough games to get the nod. There's a really good chance that Paolo Banchero is starting. Now, we haven't talked about this in a while because the Olympic team in Paris became an all-star team, became a superstar team. Paolo Banchero is very much going to be a big part of Team USA. He is going to probably play in the World Cup in 2 years. He is going to play in the Olympics in 3 years. He is going to be a factor for Team USA for years to come. So it should not be a surprise to think that he is going to start in his first All-Star game, or that it's very possible that he can start in his first All-Star game. Now, we don't know the format. I was trying to break this down as a Team USA East and Team USA West. I think that is the best way to kind of maintain that the voting the way the NBA wants to maintain it and kind of maintain the structure of the All-Star game. If you're looking at like Team USA East, these are the players that I put together on Team USA East. Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. I have those 5 players returning from last year's All-Star game. Then you get to like, okay, well, who's going to be good in the East? Well, you got Orlando. Orlando's going to be good. Paolo Banchero, throw him in there. That's simple as that. Atlanta, they're going to be good. Trae Young, throw him in there. Now, Jalen Johnson, real all-star potential. Kristaps Porzingis could be an all-star. I'm not going to sit here and say he isn't, but Kristaps Porzingis would be on the world team. Jalen Johnson absolutely could be in the running for that spot. I would honestly say, yeah, Pascal Siakam is in the running, but this East team needs a center. They need another big to make them make sense. Bam Adebayo for the Heat. Now, again, there could be other options, and we could see who pops out. And, Joel Embiid certainly could pop up and be a factor this season as well. But, Joel Embiid plays for Team USA, so he's American. There aren't a lot of forwards. And even if you're looking at that list, Evan Mobley is the only quote-unquote power forward in the Eastern Conference group of forwards, in the Eastern Conference group of front court players. To me, it all seems to point that, yes, just like there is an easier path for Franz Wagner to make the All-Star game, Paolo Banchero's road to the All-Star game is also very, very set. And we talked about this on yesterday's episode, that Paolo Banchero is, very quietly putting up MVP level numbers. And it's just really about attention. The Magic are going to get some more attention this season. We got 14 national TV games. The Magic are expected to be a top 3 seed in the East, not just top 4, top 3 seed. They're expected to win 50 games. They're expected to be good enough that Paolo Banchero should be a shoo-in for the All-Star game. And obviously, it has to be done on the court, has to do all that stuff. I'm not gifting it to him. But all signs point that this is something that could very realistically happen and very realistically get done this season. Now, let me do my rant on the All-Star game. I honestly don't care what format they do with this. I'm a big believer that simpler is better. Do something simple, do something easy to explain. Don't overcomplicate things. There is no format that can quote unquote save the All-Star game. And frankly, like I know I'd say this in February, is this thing even worth saving? Are we lionizing and idealizing an event that shouldn't be? That's just not important. There certainly was a time when the All-Star game was important, when the league needed it as a marketing tool, a chance to see all the stars together in one place, because access to these games was very limited. If you lived in Portland, you never saw Shaquille O'Neal and the Orlando Magic. If you live in Orlando, you very rarely saw Dikembe Mutombo and the Denver Nuggets, or Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and the Seattle Supersonics. That's not the case anymore. In fact, we almost have too much access to the NBA. I'm not complaining, but through League Pass and now this national TV deal that has games on every single night. Think about that. Games are on every single night now. Why do we need this All-Star game? Now, like, I know the reason why. This is when the league comes together and gets all its business done for the playoffs. All those ads you see, they're filmed over All-Star weekend. The league sells its playoff sponsorships during the All-Star weekend. It's a wine and dine weekend for sponsors, not just the league sponsors, for player sponsors. Most of the events the players are doing are meet and greets with their shoe company. They're doing parties. They're shaking hands. All-Star weekend serves a very important business purpose. It's not about the All-Star game. When I covered the All-Star game in 2012, I went to all the events, and I had a veteran reporter came up to me kind of afterward and said, if you're only covering and caring about the All-Star weekend and the events, you're doing it wrong. That's not what this weekend is about. Now, most fans don't care about any of this. Most fans want to see an entertaining product, and the NBA certainly packages the All-Star game and sells it to the TV partners like it is an important product. But the fact of the matter is, it's not important anymore. Very rarely do you see Magic Johnson play Larry Bird. They play each other twice a year. One of those games might be on national TV, and then you get them in the finals. Now, if I live in Oklahoma City, I can watch any team I want. Like Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or whoever, Paul Pierce or whoever, Jason Tatum, whoever, Giannis, whoever it is, they're very easily accessible. Watching them play isn't some special treat. Them being on national TV isn't a rare occurrence, or isn't an occurrence that's so rare that it's surprising, that it is a special event. They can be accessed anytime I want. And so the proliferation of just how many games are on TV and how often we are able to access highlights and watch full games of these players has rendered the All-Star game obsolete. So again, this isn't a thing worth saving. I think the USA versus World idea is fun. I am glad they're trying it. This year, the All-Star game is going to be in the afternoon so that NBC can run Olympics coverage in the evening. That's fine by me. Like, Milana Cortina is going to be a lot of fun. I'm a big Olympics stan. It's whatever. I'm still a believer. Just keep things simple. The players are going to try as hard as the players are going to try. There is nothing anyone can do to make players try in this game. They either want to or they don't. And frankly, they don't want to anymore because they know this isn't necessary for them. It just gets old people and podcasts up in a guff that it isn't important anymore. It never mattered. It was important for marketing, but it's not important anymore. And maybe it never should have been, but it was important for marketing league. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but it's an all-star game. Really, what's important now is the honorific. What's important to me is that Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner make the all-star game, that Franz gets his first all-star game, that he gets that recognition, that status symbol, that little star next to his name on Basketball Reference. It's really a statement that you're important in the league and the story the league is trying to tell. For a team like the Magic, the all-star game does matter because most of the world, most of the NBA league doesn't get to see them. Paolo Banchero being in the all-star game 2 years ago mattered because it was a sign the Magic had arrived. It doesn't matter to Jason Tatum or LeBron James or Stephen Curry. If They wanted the All-Star game to be important. Those are the guys that have to care about making important, and they don't. And that's not a good or a bad thing. That's my All-Star rant. I give it every year. We're going to give it now. Let's talk, though, about Franz Wagner. Let's get back to our future All-Star, Franz Wagner. He put up another future All-Star game for Germany to close out group play. The challenges are coming up, though. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. Group play is finally ending in Eurobasket. I think we're all very, very excited for group play to end, ready to get to the meat of this tournament. There are no more Great Britons. They're going away. Good win for Great Britain over Montenegro. Sad to see Nikola Vucevic lose his final game for the Montenegro national team, but such is life. Good win for Great Britain. Really good win for Great Britain. That's a growing basketball program. They're starting to figure some things out. Well, we'll see. Losing Luol Deng hurt them. Luol Deng is an organizer. He's been really working really hard on the South Sudan national team. This was another, I don't want to say ho-hum game, but this was another just stellar performance from Franz Wagner. 13 of his 21 points. Let me make sure I have his stat line correct. 13 of his 23 points in the second quarter to help Germany pull away. He ends his 5 group play games averaging 21.6 points per game. He shot 55.4% from floor. He was 7 for 17 overall from 3. We will take that. Shot 1 for 5 in this game on Wednesday. It got to a point where just Franz was toying with the defense and doing whatever he wanted. And just once Germany pulled ahead, they won by 30. Once Germany pulled ahead and put Finland away, it was over. Finland just was not anywhere near the level that Germany was at. A few too many turnovers. Germany played with their food a little bit in the first quarter, but they blew that game out. And those are the kind of games we're going to see less of now. Germany is headed to the round of 16 to play Portugal. Portugal is one of the surprises of this tournament, first time advancing into the knockout round in their program's history. So again, like Germany should probably handle them easily, but Neemias Queta, the Boston Celtics center playing for Portugal, has been fantastic, really active on the glass. Not going to be an easy game. So I'm really interested to see them play on Saturday when Germany takes on Portugal. But this is the part that matters. You know, group play, we expected Germany to sweep. Lithuania was considered maybe the second best team in that group. They finished second in the group. We expected this from Germany. And so now comes the part that matters. Now comes the tough teams. You got Portugal in the next round. You'll get Spain potentially in the round after that. Spain or Italy in the round after that. You'll get Serbia potentially in the semifinal after their shocking loss to Turkey. You get Turkey, who is playing really well and really put Germany on the ropes in that exhibition game, potentially in the final, as well as, all those other great teams in Eurobasket. But make no bones about it, this is what they signed up for. This is what they want. Because Germany has set the standard that winning the championship, winning this tournament is the only acceptable outcome. Ever since they finished third in the beginning of this cycle with Franz Wagner, Germany has set the standard that they are meddling or they are unhappy. They won the World Cup in 2023. They got a disappointing 4th after losing to Serbia in the Paris Olympics. They only want a medal. The only thing that matters, frankly, they don't just want a medal. They want a gold medal. And that's why this tournament is so important. Why we as Magic fans care about this tournament. Because we are going to see Franz Wagner play in pressure games. Not just play in pressure games, but lead in pressure games. We expected to perform at a high level. And he has had a fantastic tournament. He has been everything we could hope for and more in this tournament. He has taken over this team. This is his team. Schroeder does his thing. They're a really connected group. Franz isn't like forcing very much or forcing anything, but he takes over in these spurts that no team can do anything with. Franz Wagner does indeed look like the 3rd or 4th best player in this tournament. Jokic has done his thing. Şengün's been really good. Giannis has done his thing. Luka's done his thing. Franz is in their conversation with all of them. And frankly, the closest game that Germany's played has been 18 points. They haven't needed Franz to do very much. They haven't needed Franz to really take over games. But that's going to be the challenge of the knockout rounds. again, this is why this stuff is important, because these games are playoff games. They are game sevens. They are do or die games that the Magic are going to expect Franz Wagner to perform in when we get to April, May, and June. He is getting that practice now. And guess what? You cannot rep this. You cannot practice this in a pickup game. You can only practice this in these situations. And Franz is going to be made better by it. He already has been. If you look at Franz Wagner's record in these elimination games, they have not been good. In 10 elimination games in these FIBA tournaments, Wagner's only averaging 15.9 points per game and shooting 45.8%. He had 10 points in the Olympic semifinal loss to France. I know I took a lot of heat for stressing that, especially coming off the Game 7 defeat. And it was just like that. It just felt like a continuation of his struggles in the playoffs. And we had real questions. Is Franz going to be able to step up? Now, he's put that all to bed. Like, he's put a lot of that to rest. Averaged 24.2 points per game last year. In the playoffs, scored 25.8 points per game. Had the 2 big baskets in the Game 3 win. The Magic trust Franz Wagner. And Germany should absolutely trust Franz Wagner. And we'll see what he looks like in these games. But there's going to be a moment. Germany is going to play a close game at some point in this tournament, just like they did in the exhibition game against Turkey and against Serbia and against Slovenia. They're going to play a close game in this tournament, and they're going to need their star to step up. Now, Dennis Schroeder is there as a backstop, and Schroeder can have his moment, has had his moments as well, had his moment against Turkey in the exhibition games. But this is the challenge for Franz Wagner, to lead his team, to be the superstar, to be the star that pushes Germany over the top and into the championship and into a gold medal, because that's what the Magic need. Not just Germany. That's what the Magic need too. And ultimately, where Germany is and where the Magic are, the only thing that matters is winning. Putting up the stats is great, but all that matters is winning. Results matter. And that's the only way anybody is going to be judged. The challenge is ahead for Germany. The playtime is over. The fun time is over. It's time to get serious. And Germany's been very serious, and they played very, very well. They've looked, frankly, they've looked like the best team in this tournament. They've really come together. But this is the part that matters. And it doesn't take very much in a single elimination tournament to have everything crumble down on you. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You, of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. We're doing some all-star work on there on tomorrow's newsletter. So check it out again, patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, go check out the Locked On NBA podcast, because there's no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. As promised, on our next episode of Locked On Magic, we will talk about mock expansion draft, who the Magic protect, why they protect them, and what their priorities are. I'll ruminate on that. We're still kind of in silly season. I'll ruminate on that and talk about as well Georgia and whether they advance or not in Eurobasket. Big game against Bosnia and Herzegovina on Thursday. Winner advances. Big game. So definitely tune in for that. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic. This has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.